It'll be James' first game against his former mates from Miami. Dwayne Wade says no big deal. He's played against James more than he played with him. And it is preseason, so nobody's really getting up for this game, right? Well, we sent Brian Windhorst just in case.
The Miami Heat found themselves reminded of the NBA Finals this week in Rio de Janeiro. Not because of the setting, but because they've got no air conditioning in their practice gym. But this is no longer the Finals in many ways. The biggest being that LeBron James is no longer in a Heat uniform. As they prepare to see him again for the first time on Saturday when they play the Cavs here in Brazil, they realize the guy who's been their solution for so long is now their problem.
LeBron James is a problem for everybody. He's been MVP for 4 seasons, so he's a problem, period.
We played against each other plenty of times. It shouldn't be that much of a difference. Of course, I know everybody's really hyping the story up and how's it going to be. Competition is competition. I played against my family before, and there wasn't any awkward situations. And, we fouled each other, we played hard. We don't not like each other. It's nothing like that. It's just on the court. He's about the Cavs, we're about the Heat, and that's where it ends.
The Cavs and Heat are only staying a mile apart from each other here in Rio de Janeiro. But despite there being ex-teammates on both sides, they have no plans to get together socially. There's no doubt these two teams are trying to avoid each other. As Chris Bosh told me, we'll see each other on the court Saturday. There'll be plenty of time to catch up then. In Rio de Janeiro, Brian Windhorst, ESPN.
For more on the current drama surrounding the former Big Three, we welcome in Brian Windhorst, who joins us from Brazil. And Brian, LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, and Chris Bosh may be on different teams now, but look, we've all changed jobs and had friendships maintain or change as a result. You've been there all week. What's the interaction been like between these three?
Now, these teams are staying only about a mile away from each other on the beach here in Rio, but there's been an icy chill between them. You can feel the tension. Even though there's a bunch of teammates on each side, 3 ex-Heat players on the Cavs, an ex-Cavs player on the Heat, Luol Deng, these guys have kept their social agendas pretty separate. I think that they don't really want to get into this right now. I think they'd prefer if they were playing different teams. They're happy to be in Rio, but to have this forced on them and to have to share the same city for a whole week with the team that everybody knows is so closely associated with them, I don't think anybody's comfortable at all.
Yeah, and part of the awkwardness is because there's been some interesting comments coming from the Heat this week, including Chris Bosh saying it was difficult and frustrating playing with LeBron. What has been LeBron's reaction?
Well, Cassie, LeBron was pretty surprised by that. He was like, man, I've been seeing what some of those guys have been saying, and I don't really understand it. And, here's the thing about Chris Bosh. Let's not feel too bad for him. He's got 2 championship rings and a $100 million contract. So when he talks about how it was difficult and frustrating at times to play with LeBron, let's put it in some perspective. What Chris is saying is he had to change his game a lot when LeBron came to his team, and now his game's going to change back. And he was saying Kevin Love is going to have to change his game a lot, too.
These two teams, of course, know each other well. James, as you heard, leaving the Heat to join the Cavaliers, to rejoin the Cavaliers. And as you might expect, there's been a little bit of chatter this week.
It's just a preseason. I acknowledge those guys for sure. I'm still cool with all those guys. I'm not that far into it right now as far as the competitive nature. It's too early. I want to put all my mind into it right now and not be drained too fast. So
We don't not like each other. It's nothing like that. It's just on the court. He's about the Cavs, we're about the Heat, and that's where it ends.
Jalen, this doesn't feel like a normal preseason game with all the storylines here. What did LeBron James leaving the Heat do to the psyche of that team?
Well, he left them better than they were when he got there. 4 finals, 2 championships. Chris Bosh gets a max deal this summer. Dwayne Wade gets read up again. He learns how to be a champion under the ultimate puppeteer in Pat Riley. It was a win-win for both sides. Now, should the Heat take it a little personal that he's poaching their roster? Yes. Mike Miller was a member of the Heat and won a championship. James Jones trying to get Ray Allen as well. So when they play on Christmas, I think the temperature in the room and with the fans is going to be based on how the Heat are doing. If they're struggling, they're going to give it to LeBron really good on the road.
When you look at the max deal, when you look at what Chris Bosh did when he was in Toronto, you figure the ball's going to flow through him in that offense. Is this his team now?
It has to be. but he can't have a career-low rebounding like he did this past summer. And also for Dwayne Wade, he played the fewest minutes he's ever played in his career on average. So Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh, these guys are future Hall of Famers. They've been champions, multiple All-Stars. They have professional pride. They want to prove to all of us pundits they weren't just riding LeBron James fumes the past few years.
Dwayne Wade got hammered in the playoffs last year for his play. He looks healthy from what we've seen so far this preseason. How far can this team go with those two guys without James?
I think they can make the playoffs. I really love adding Luol Deng. I think he's a really good two-way player. He can make an open shot. Josh McRoberts up front, he's going to give him some versatility. Not going to be the championship expectations of the past. I still want to see what they're going to do in their backcourt. Is Chalmers going to start? Is Cole going to start? Those are the type of things they're still trying to figure out.
All right, we're going to learn about the chemistry with both teams a little bit more today. They play on Christmas in Miami, but we're going to get a taste of it today. LeBron James and the Cavaliers facing off with Dwayne Wade and the Heat. We're a few minutes from tip-off. We'll be right back.